Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Marquee Picks, and today I've got another free six-pick prize pick slip for you, covering today's MLB slate. Quick recap on today's prize pick, six pick from yesterday. We ended up going 5 out of 6 on the slip. The only one that didn't hit was Dean Kramer. He went over his fantasy score and ruined the clean sweep for us, but outside of that, everything else cashed. Logan Webb smashed his taco discount. Luis Heel stayed under his strikeout line. Giolito and Lord both handled business on their hits allowed props. And David Peterson finished under his fantasy score just like we expected. That puts us at 22 out of 29 over the last few days, which is insane. It's an insane hit rate. We're staying locked in and consistent, and we're going to keep pushing this hot streak forward. Please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so these videos can help get out there to more and more people looking for free and easy wins. It really helps me and everyone else out if these videos reach more people, so please take a second and subscribe and like the videos. Remember that you guys should be splitting these picks up into smaller slips like 2, 3, 4. It gives you a better chance of, cashing. I hope these free picks are helping you guys out over the last week. I've been on an absolute roll, and I think today is where we could finally break through and go for that 6 for 6. So without further ado, let's dive into the first pick of the slip. All right, to kick off the slip, we're going Andrew Alvarez over 3 strikeouts. My projection for him is at 3.97. So basically right at 4. He's cleared this line in 3 of 4 starts this season, so it's definitely within reach. Now, the key here is we're getting this line at a clean 3. I wouldn't touch it if it was at 3.5 because, there's a real chance he lands right at 3, and that would end up being a push. But I like the spot because the Braves do strike out a decent amount. And we've been targeting the Nationals pitchers, all week. So Monday we had Mackenzie Gore, and he failed us, although he did look really strong early. Command troubles just got to him. Yesterday, Brad Lord came through and cashed for us on the hits allowed prop. So today we're going right back to the well with Alvarez on the Ks. Give me Andrew Alvarez to get at least 3 Ks tonight. Next up, we're rolling with Ryan Weathers under 4.5 strikeouts. My projection has him at 4.26. So this one's going to be tight, definitely a sweat, and it could come down to this very last batter. He's gone under this line of 4 of 7 starts so far this season, which gives us a little bit of an edge. The Phillies are a tough matchup because they put up really competitive at bats and don't go down easy. They know how to work the count, foul pitches off and force pitchers into mistakes. I think Weathers can maybe rack up a few early, but as the lineup turns over, Phillies should adjust and keep the strikeouts down. This one's not a lock by any means, but I like the value here, so give me Ryan Weathers to stay under 4.5 Ks tonight. All right, moving on to Tyler Wells, under 4.5 hits allowed. My projection has him at 3.32, so there's some good value here. Yesterday, we got burned with Dean Kramer because we backed the Rays offense to score runs, and they didn't get it done. But today, I'm flipping the script and backing the Orioles pitcher, Tyler Wells, against the same Rays lineup. The Rays were just shut out last night, and to me, they look sluggish at the plate. I think that could carry over into tonight. Wells has been really solid since returning to the rotation from injury. In his 3 starts since returning, he's gone under this number in two of them. And he's been really limiting damage pretty well. Now, there's always the chance the Rays decide to come out swinging after that embarrassing shutout. But I'm playing the momentum here. I think Wells keeps them in check and stays under 4.5 hits allowed tonight. Next pick, we're going with Yusei Kikuchi under 5.5 hits allowed. My projection has him at 5.01. So basically right on the line, but I'm leaning under here. The main reason is this Royals team just looks flat. They're out of the playoff race now pretty much, and when you watch them, they're pretty much just going through the motions at this point in this season. Kikuchi has also been really strong at home, and that's another edge in our favor. Statistically, this line is about a 50-50 shot so far this season. He's pretty much cashing in about 16 out of 32 starts, so it's not one I would call a lock by any means, but when I factor in my projection and how uninspired this Royals lineup has looked, I'm siding with the under. I think Kikuchi keeps them quiet and holds them to 5 hits or fewer tonight. Next up, taking Max Scherzer under 26.5 pitcher fantasy score. My projection has him way down at 17.29, which is a pretty big gap from the line. I don't even have him getting into quality start territory, so the only real concern here is if he somehow gets credited with a win and sneaks over. This is a playoff type of matchup, with both teams fighting for seeding, and Boston's coming in with momentum after a big win yesterday. That gives them some extra juice to come out swinging against Scherzer. He's still got the name value, but, he's not the same pitcher he used to be, and I think the Red Sox can put up enough offense to keep him well under this fantasy score tonight. For the last pick of the slip, I'm going with Jonah Tong under 25.5 pitcher fantasy score. My projection has him way down at 16.53, so there's a solid gap between the line and where I see him landing. This feels really similar to the David Peterson spot from yesterday. If Tong gets in any kind of trouble, I think the Mets are quick to pull him. Now, the one wrinkle here is that New York did have to use some extra arms out of the pen yesterday. So there's always the chance they give him a little more leeway with innings and batter space. But even with that, I don't really see him being able to fully control the Cubs lineup. Chicago is in a desperate need of a win, and I expect their bats to stay aggressive and put up some runs in this matchup. Unless Tong somehow cruises into like a quality start, I see him finishing comfortably under this fantasy score. And that's going to wrap up today's 6-pick PrizePicks slip. We've got a nice mix of value plays across strikeouts, hits allowed, and pitcher fantasy scores. And I feel really good about the numbers on this slip. We've been locked in lately, so let's just keep riding this momentum and stack another winning day. If you're enjoying these picks and the breakdowns, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel and turn on those post notifications so you don't miss tomorrow's slip. I appreciate all the support, and let's cash this one out tonight.